Talking about that, I'm being joined by Stephen Howard. He is with the organization In Defense of Christians. They advocate and lobby for persecuted Christian communities in the Middle East. And Stephen, what was your first reaction? You know, this has been such a thorny issue for past administrations. What was your first reaction when you heard that the Biden administration is going to take action very soon to formally recognize the Armenian genocide?
For many Middle Eastern Christians, this is a long time coming. I mean, this genocide happened a century ago. And what was particularly meaningful is that this recognition is coming in the midst of a Turkish government that not only continues to deny that this genocide occurred, but triumphantly brags and boasts about it. The current president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has referred to the surviving Christian population of Turkey as quote-unquote remnants of the sword, and has openly bragged about and celebrated known perpetrators of this genocide. And to set the record straight, what happened a century ago is over 3 million Christians were targeted by the former Ottoman Empire for extinction or expulsion in the desert, as your previous guest attested to. We are remembering tomorrow the Armenian genocide, but in this genocide we had 1.5 million Armenians were killed, and over 1.9 million Greeks, Assyrians, Chaldeans, Syriacs, Arameans, and Maronites. What do all of these different groups have in common? It is their Christian faith. And it is extremely troubling to see that Turkey continues to deny this genocide and persecute our people.
And Stephen, you know, like I said, this has been such a thorny political issue in part because Turkey is a NATO ally. And why do you think for previous administrations they haven't taken this issue head on as a kind of show of force, really, to Turkey? And my other question for you is, you know, why do you think this genocide in particular is so, you know, somewhat in kind of, you know, the dustbin of history, because people do not associate it with major mass casualty events of the 20th century. Obviously, the Holocaust and World War II is front and center. Why do you think that is?
The reality is that people who seek to try and commit genocide have a vested interest in erasing the history of past genocides. Before Adolf Hitler invaded Poland, he remarked, "Who today remembers the Armenians?" This is significant. Raphael Lemkin, who coined the term genocide, specifically looked at what the Ottoman Empire did to its Christian communities as a case study. And unfortunately, what we see today is that the Turkish government is a state sponsor of genocide denial, which includes very high-level lobbying against recognition of this genocide, whether that is in schools, whether that is with regards to movies such as The Promise. And unfortunately, many American institutions have caved to this pressure. But what President Biden has done is absolutely historic. And we are excited about the fact that Mr. Biden has a rocky relationship with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. It's about time that the U.S. stood up to this dictator. And the reality is, you mentioned the NATO alliance. Turkey itself is the most unreliable American quote-unquote ally on the map today. Just to be abundantly clear, former Nobel Peace Prize winner Nadia Murad, who herself is a Yazidi sex trafficking survivor, tweeted in 2020 desperately pleading, saying Turkish-backed militias in Syria were committing ethnic cleansing against her people. This is unexcusable conduct for an American ally, and Turkey in Syria has been supporting terrorist militias who continue to persecute, guess who? Populations of survivors of this genocide. They continue to persecute them today.
And let's just talk lastly, Stephen, about the American angle, the American side, those Armenian communities that are, communities across the country. How do you think they're responding to this news? Have you spoken to some of them? Absolutely. We have worked hand-in-hand in defense of Christians with our sister organization, the Armenian National Committee of America. And we want to really commend them under the leadership of Aram Hamparian,
a lot of people have worked decades, their entire lives for this, Aram amongst them. And as well as our president, Tawfiq Baklini, people have staked a lot of their personal capital and influence into this ask. Everyone is rejoicing at today's announcement. And we want to make clear that it took hard work. 49 U.S. states have recognized the Armenian genocide due to lobbying and advocacy from our communities. We also see that Congress recognized this genocide back in 2019. And so the work that they've done is historic. We're proud to call them our partners. The message that we want to get across, though, is that Turkey is still a completely rogue actor in the region. It continues to persecute survivors of this genocide. I mentioned Syria, but we can look at Azerbaijan's recent war with Armenia over Artsakh or Nagorno-Karabakh, where we saw, again, Armenian civilians targeted. We saw churches and schools bombed and civilians targeted. We even see there are current human rights violations against prisoners. Turkey are being very triumphant about these human rights violations and boasting about them. So what we did today, what President Biden is about to do tomorrow, is historic, and we commend him, but it's only the beginning.
All right, and we'll leave it at that. Stephen Howard from In Defense of Christians there in Washington, D.C. Thanks for joining us to tell our viewers the importance of this and how truly significant it is. Thanks for being with us.